Good morning folks, Catherine here today. It's not quite 11 o'clock in the morning. Thursday the 2nd of January 2020. Here we are in Raglan Reserve. Now this is just a few blocks away from my place, so I guess I've walked past it a few times, never thought much about it. So it's on the corner of Raglan Street and Cashel Street in Linwood, Christchurch, not to be confused with Auckland, which has its own Raglan, a few miles out of Auckland. Apparently this is a dog walking park. There's a gate that's half locked, so people and dogs can come in but cars can't. It's got a Christchurch City Council sign. It says Raglan Reserve, and this is actually backing onto it and sort of coming right up to the back doors. There is a building from the other side of the block, from the other street, which is Essex Street. That looks a bit like an old church building. Or it might have originally been built as a community hall, I'm not sure. It's now used by Senior Net and a couple of different companies. But I was just walking around here, and as you said, it's reasonably mowed, or at least roughly mowed, but it'd be a good little dog walking park, and the fact that it's a fenced area, so that's good. Unfortunately, we've got these silver birch trees that I hate. I mean, yeah, look, if you're in Norway and you can't grow any blooming thing else, or Iceland, yeah, they're a great tree. Here in Christchurch, there's a lot better things to grow than silver birch. They're awful all the time. In winter, they look like a dead skeleton. In spring, they drop pollen all over your car. Later in summer, they drop the catkins, the dead catkins. In autumn, they drop the leaves everywhere. They're just... Anyway, if you're not in Norway or Iceland, try to grow something nicer. This is a Deodar cedar, Cedrus deodara, one of the true cedars, one of the few true cedars, native to somewhere in the Himalayas, somewhere in North India kind of area. Probably takes far more frost than we ever get here. They do make a nice tree, and yes, in this area they're not good for a small city garden. You either need a large garden or park. They're great for a park. So they've got needle-like foliage. Something that's interesting about them though is, especially if you're growing up in New Zealand or Australia, we're all familiar with like radiata pine, Pinus radiata, have pine cones on them, collect them up, use them in the fire, whatever. The pine cones sit on top of the branch, poking upwards, so they do look rather weird. And I'll go in a bit closer so we can get a closer look here, because this is from this angle we can see quite a few of them. Similar to other, similar to typical pines, you know, obviously they open up as they get mature and the little seeds fall out and get blown around by the wind. But we'll try to get in as some of the closest ones. Very cloudy and hazy today. It may rain later, but the main reason, or a contributing reason to the funny look in the sky, is the Australian bushfires, which are 1,000 miles or 1,600 kilometres away, and the smoke's actually blowing to the South Island here of New Zealand, and actually I think some to the North Island too. And keep in mind, we're on the far side of the South Island. We're on the eastern seaboard, so it's that air pollution's had to go up over 12,000 feet high, 4,000 metre high mountains to get this far. But I thought with the cloudy and hazy look of the sky, it means I can film without strong shadows and that. So anyway, that's just what I found. Raglan Reserve. I'm wondering if perhaps that building was repurposed at some point, and it may well have been a council requirement that some of the land, if it was an old community hall or churchyard, it may have been a requirement that to repurpose it for commercial purposes, inline architecture, and Ian Cumberbatch Architects Limited, that they might have had to keep this piece of land available as a community park. And it's, as I say, it seems to be designated a dog walking area. There's a picture of a dog thing on the sign at the front, and a gate that you can open and close. Plenty of silver birch trees. Plenty of silver birch trees. Come on, Christchurch City Council, Gardens Department. Apart from coughs, how about we plant a few locusts, a few pomegranates, things we can eat. things which are hardy and grow in this climate. Alright folks, that's all.